Senator Natasha Akpabio is arguably in the eye of the storm. The storm started brewing with the reassignment of her seat, followed by a heated argument with the Senate President, Akpabio, accusation of sexual harassment, and eventually a 6-month suspension. Her suspension has sparked a firestorm of accusations and counter-accusations. Now, in the story, Just Nigeria's Wale Fakile unravels the cause of Senator Akpabio's suspension and gets concerned parties to set the record straight. Have a look.
This is the heart of Nigeria's lawmaking, where debates shape policies and decisions that impact millions. But today, the focus is not on legislation. The suspension of Senator Natasha Akpabio has sparked global debate with claims that go beyond this National Assembly.
We have seen senators shout, scream, use insultive words, fight, tear each other's clothes, but they were not suspended.
Of course, there was a similar situation that involved Senator Ndume on the floor. And Ndume was suspended.
Bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Natasha Akpabio was elected into Nigeria's 10th National Assembly in 2023 to represent Kogi Central Senatorial District. Less than 2 years later she's in the eye of the storm. Tensions began on Thursday, February 20th, when her seat was changed. The reshuffling was a result of opposition People's Democratic Party Senator Ned Nwoko's defection to the All Progressives Congress. He was moved to the ruling aisle. Refusing her new placement, what followed suit drew national attention.
To speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges.
Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising.
It was an episode some senators insist was unacceptable.
That petition was raised by Senator Adaramadu, who is the spokesperson of the Senate, who on the floor said that he's been having barrages of calls, asking questions about what happened on the day in question, which is the 20th of February 2025. And that the Senate cannot afford to sweep all that happened under the carpet.
A day after the face-off, Senator Akpabio told Abuja-based Human Rights Radio that the new seat was in the corner where cameras will not capture legislative activities, alleging an attempt to silence her.
At the day in question that her seat was moved, about 4 or 5 other senators were moved.
She belongs to the minority caucus. They sit on the left side of the presiding officer by the tail of the mace. The majority party sit on the right side by the head of the mace, and the right hand side where you have the gavel of the presiding officer. These things have significance because they are symbolism.
On March 5th, Senator Akpabio returns to the Senate with damning allegations.
Is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions.
I have the highest regards for women. I also wish to state that I also have 4 beautiful daughters. So at no time will I ever harass any woman.
But her petition was not taken on procedural grounds.
They said that I had no right to sign the petition myself. I am not supposed to sign my petition because a senator is receiving petitions from her or his constituents. But here, first time in the history of Nigeria, a senator is laying a sexual harassment petition seeking justice.
Remember that first petition was put on the floor by Senator Adaramadu. She now came with a petition of sexual harassment, which she read on the floor, indicating that she even signed the petition. So when senators heard that, they said that was against our rule.
Proceed to lay the petition.
A day after, Senator Akpabio resubmits the petition, and this time around, it was admitted. The Senate Committee on Ethics now has 2 separate petitions involving the senator to deal with. Days before the hearing, Senator Akpoti Uduaghan had gone to court to stop the Ethics Committee from deliberating the case. The court initially granted an order in her favor, but later vacated the ruling.
We just said, we now know that she's not going to come, because if she had gone to court to get a restraining order, then she cannot come. And so we looked at the matter and we dismissed it.
Senate President Akpabio's wife, Akpabio, had also gone to court suing Senator Akpoti Uduaghan for defamation.
Our rule book is very clear on that matter, that if a case is in court, a competent court of jurisdiction, we cannot assume that rule of a judge.
The committee sat on the matter again on March 25th, but it ended in a deadlock as Senator Akpoti Uduaghan's team accused Senator Imasuen of bias. From here, the Senate ruled that Natasha Akpoti must step aside for 6 months. But is this about silencing the lawmaker, or indeed about discipline? The battle is already playing out beyond the 4 walls of this chamber.
We have seen senators shout, scream, use insultive words, fight, tear each other's clothes, but they were not suspended.
Of course, there was a similar situation that involved Senator Ndume on the floor, and Ndume was suspended. So I don't know what she's referring to.
Senator Akpoti Uduaghan tells the BBC the alleged harassment started on 8th December 2023.
He was taking me around his house. My husband was walking behind us, held my hand, and then we got to this particular room where, when he noticed my husband was a few steps away, he then squeezed my hands in a very suggestive way. We're women, we know what it means when a man squeezes his hands, squeezes our hands in a suggestive way, and he went, "I'll make an opportunity for us to come here and have a good moment."
But Deputy Senate Chief Whip Oyekachin Weboyin says he was with Senator Akpabio alongside other senators on said date.
Natasha was barely 2 to 3 months old in the Senate, so she was still learning ground. She was not even close at any moment with the Senate President. She was always with her husband. Even at the parlor, she was sitting in the same seat with her husband. There was never a time, even the time we sang birthday song to the president by 12 midnight, she was with the husband.
Akpoti Uduaghan further alleges that Akpabio made suggestive remarks on the Senate floor.
I rushed to work, forgetting to wear my ring, and there were about 5 senators there, and he was, "Oh, Natasha, you're not wearing your ring. Is this an invitation to treat?"
Because every morning, we wait for the Senate President at our mini office near the chamber. From there, we'll file in, all the principal officers will file in into the chamber to start the business of the day. There was never a day the Senate President made such remarks.
She also alleges that Akpabio made inappropriate comments about her body in the presence of other lawmakers.
There was another time he made a statement like, "Natasha, your husband is really enjoying. It looks like you'll be able to make good movements with your waist."
I challenge her to name those senators that were there who will prove the impossible, because it never happened.
Following her suspension, Senator Akpoti Uduaghan says she fears for her safety.
And one of the conditions attached to my suspension is withdrawing my security. If I'm going grocery shopping, if I'm taking my kid on a walk, because I have a 2-year-old, will I be killed? Will I be attacked? I have this just run through my head immediately.
If she feels threatened and her mother is in court, I think she can still go to court on the same matter.
The Senate also says the Senate's leadership operates like a court with a culture of silence targeting the opposition.
I mean, if you confront the Senate President or if you express contrary views, then you risk a chance of being stripped of your privileges.
In the Senate, we are equal. We just elected him as our presiding officer. That does not make him superior. So nobody is afraid of him.
Looking at what has played out in the National Assembly, honestly speaking, it doesn't look like a place that is welcoming for women. There were so many things that were said about Senator Natasha, her character. She was being maligned. People were bringing in even her personal life and trying to, degrade her.
About 6 motions from her. We've got about 3 bills from her. We've got about 5 contributions to debate, starting from the day she entered the Senate. In 2024 budget, more than 1 billion was voted for senatorial district development, passed by the same Senate. This 2025, more than 2 billion was voted. It's there, and the budget is a public document. So what is courtism about that?
Legal experts and civil society groups have questioned whether the Senate has the legal power to suspend an elected lawmaker for 6 months.
We even have case law, the Supreme Court decisions in Dume and even in Omo Agege, those 2 cases. The Supreme Court held that those suspensions were not constitutional because it's supposed to be a minimum of 14 days or a maximum of 14 days.
You posit to me that because she was elected like everyone else to represent her constituents, and I'm elected to represent my constituents, and we all 109 senators are elected to represent our constituents, and therefore we disregard the rule book because our constituents send us to come and obey the rule books. What chaos would you imagine?
Online and offline, the saga has sparked mixed reactions. Some believe the suspension is a justified disciplinary measure, while others see it as a politically motivated attempt to silence her.
The economy has to do better. Let's focus on that one. The citizens need to be able to feed themselves. Let's focus on that one.
Natasha should have come down for Akpabio. She should have obeyed the rule first.
As a woman like me, she's saying the truth.
And while the controversy surrounding Akpoti Uduaghan's suspension continues to be a mixed bag, experts say the crisis is an opportunity to address broader gender dynamics in Nigeria's political arena.
Resolution 2 of her suspension point states that if she tenders apology for her disorderly conduct, for me, if she does that, she can come back to the chamber and then fully take up the sexual allegation matter, because right now the matter is going on in her absence.
Before people will even indicate interest to become members of the Senate or members of the National Assembly, they should start familiarizing themselves with the rules that will guide the proceedings of the assignment they want to assume.
The seat behind me remains empty for now. But Natasha Akpoti's suspension has raised questions of gender dynamics in Nigeria. And as the battle of perception rages on, one thing is certain: the story seems far from over. Wale Fakile, Gist Nigeria.